Question 14. History and geography are two of the subjects students may decide to study. For a group of 40 students, the following is known. 7 students study neither history nor geography. 20 students study history. 18 students study geography. Part A. A student is chosen at random. By using a Venn diagram or otherwise, find the probability that the student studies both history and geography. Here is a Venn diagram that represents a situation. So we have our two circles, one for geography, one for history. So we need to populate this Venn diagram. So firstly, 7 students study neither history nor geography. So 7 can go outside the two circles. Next, we need to determine the value of the intersection. So the number of students that study both geography and history. So if 7 students study neither, that leaves 33 students that study one or the other or both. Now, we're given that 20 students study history and 18 study geography. So 20 plus 18 is 38, but there's 33 students physically. So that means that there has to be some students that study both. And so to work that out, the number of students that study geography and history is equal to 18 plus 20 minus 33, and that equals 5. So 5 goes in the intersection here. Now we can fill out the remaining two values. So the students that study geography exclusively, we have 18 students that study geography. We have 5 already accounted for. So in the geography circle, that needs to add up to 18. So that would make this value here 13, obviously. And same thing for history. We have 20 students that study history. 5 have already been accounted for. So that leaves 15 remaining that study history exclusively. So that's the Venn diagram filled out. So the probability that a student studies history and geography, so a student that's chosen randomly out of the 40, is equal to the number of students that study both geography and history divided by the total number of students. So these vertical lines here just mean the number of. And that equals 5 divided by 40, which is equal to 1 over 8. Part B. A student is chosen at random. Given that the student studies geography, what is the probability that the student does not study history? This is conditional probability. We're told here that given that the student studies geography, what is the probability that the student does not study history? So referring to the Venn diagram, go to the geography circle, we have 18 students that study geography, of which 13 do not study history. So they study geography only. So therefore, the probability is 13 over 18. Part C. 2 different students are chosen at random, one after the other. What is the probability that the first student studies history and the second student does not study history? This is an example of multi-stage probability where the outcome of the second stage is affected by the outcome of the first stage. And that's because it's sampling without replacement. So the probability that the first student chosen studies history is 20 over 40. There are 20 students that study history out of a total of 40 students. So that gives us a probability of 20 over 40. Now to find the outcome of the second stage. And the second stage is to find the probability that the second student chosen does not study history. So if 20 students out of the 40 study history, that means there's 20 students that do not study history. But because it's sampling without replacement, instead of being out of 40, we've already chosen one student from a previous stage, or from the first stage. The second stage only has 39 students. So the probability that the second student does not study history is 20 over 39. So to find the probability that the first student chosen studies history and the second student chosen does not study history, we multiply these two probabilities together, and that equals 10 over 39.